Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, and welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Colin St. Brooks, and this episode we're going to talk about subsidiaries, lower level and high level part of the business. You know, that's one of the things that I realize as well. I'm talking about having this big business vision, not this big science vision and whatnot. And I talk about symbiotic relationship in business and stuff like that. And here, so you imagine that there's a lot of different section of the business. But the thing about it is that there is also, so what will happen is that there some part will be highly respected and some part will not be highly respected. But they're all important in making sure that the best quality thing is important. And and I experienced that, if you're listening to my journey up to getting my degree, you realize that now when I was at university, I did a job that was very, very not not the most popular job, but it was need to be done. It was need to be done, and I had no clue that this is my first time doing that job and stuff like that. But I did my best. What happened was that my first year was fun, building my name and stuff. But that that job, it I think what happened was that my how I built up myself my first year made brought down, and then me doing that job the second year. Actually, what happened was that it brought down the badness. I made people respect the job more due to me doing it. People respected the job more, even though it was hard and frustrating and stuff like that. But people actually respect the job more. And then what happened was that people after me actually started doing the job better because stuff like that. So what happened was that I basically just went there. My job was to just basically went there, do that job just to make it more respected, and try to attempt to do what I can because I said leadership. That was my first leadership position where I'm leading people, and then I was pretty introverted. So it's like, I did. So what I did was basically, the job was basically done where I just make it more respected and and actually just build a foundation based on what I was taught in my first year doing that job by the other person that was taught to me. And I just brought it out to someone else that actually wanted the job, who was better able to actually do the job better and stuff like that. Do the job better. And what happened was that, so I came in, didn't mess it up. I just basically just made it a lot better, get a lower a loyal team, and then that team actually helped went ahead and helped the other team actually did better. So that section um of that my portfolio that I was doing in the big realm of the dorm became respected. It was a low level job that people thought of, but then I made it more respected where people understand its relevance, and then they actually just start, um, even though it's still hard and stuff like that, people may look down on it. The team was more solidified because they understand why they're doing that part and why it's important. So even though the outside may look down at it, the inside, the core team understood the importance, and then they did it. So that's how we do it. So next thing again, that translation here as well in the business. During the 9 to 5, during this 9 to 5, is a company that people look down on. I look down on it as well. and and not in the sense of me saying okay, it's a bad job or stuff like that because we need it. Just like for example, I will down a janitor and stuff like that. But what happened is that it's not the sense that you're looking down on them. It's that if you're yeah, you have to understand the importance and the relevance of it. You can't be having your best person doing a low level job. You don't have you, if your best person, if your best person that knows the business the best is you're having down here sweeping, mopping the floor or stuff like that. And then you have the worst person to lead that has no idea how to do it. Then the business gonna go down, and the person who mopping the floor gonna get fired because they're not going to make any money. But the thing about it is that both of them are very important in the company. Both of them are equal in the company. Both of them are equal. It's just that they are one of their expertise is different. It's different. It's different in their expertise is different, but they're equal in the company. They might not get the same pay and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where when I went in, if you realize when I went to the company, I had a goal in mind. I had a why as to why I'm doing it because it's not a job. I never went in there for the money. I went in there to learn a skill, communication, talking to people and stuff like that. That is important. But I went in there with the level of. I never went in there with a nonchalance to be like, okay, I'm just going to do what I want and that. No, I went in there for that. I actually wanted to rise, learn how to start a business from an employee perspective, rise, and then so that if I would start a business, I know all these stuff that I'm telling you now. I would learn all these stuff, and then what happened was that I gained more. I gained more respect for the business and the fact that people doing it in the sense that I see the stress that comes with doing a job. I see the stress, and then not only that, I see how I could do it better. But the thing about it is that what I realize is that even though I can implement things internally if I could if I were in the position to make it better, the outside we always see it as a lower level job. I could even listen and hear all the benefits that you can get doing this job, but on the outside, they still be looked on as a lower level job and stuff like that. And but that part of it is very important, very important to the success of the business, really important. And you don't know, like I could explain to you how important it is, but but as I said, but people look at it at the low level part of the business, and then what happens is that so so while you're doing that, when you're building the business, there's a lot of different sections, and you have to actually. So what you have to do is that you have to understand that certain part will be lower than others and higher than others, but not for what we have to do in the business of science is that you can't forget to to carry up the lower base when the higher is rising. What I mean is that if you listen to one of my episodes where when I talk about the old way versus the new way, I talk about where you're in the startup, you're not rich enough to actually buy the new way or the best quality stuff, but you start with what you can, and then when you rise, then you're able to invest and purchase something better. When you invest, and it's the same thing with the podcast. So when you invest and purchase something better, instead of actually going around and throwing away, you basically say, okay, the whole old way I could give it to someone else that's lesser than me to actually have the old way that may not be rich enough to actually do this way or something like that. So they understand the basics. And then when they get their start and then boom, they're richer enough to actually afford the way that I and the new way that I picked up. By the time that they are richer to afford the way that I pick up, I may be in the position to actually upgrade from that, and so on. So what happened is that when you're starting the business, each every side of the business will not be the best, but there's be one there one part standard out the rest of the respect. You say, okay, this is the key aspect of the business, so I'm going to spend a lot to actually make sure that this part is successful, and then we work. When that start generating profit now, then we start increasing quality of the lower part that people will talk a lowest part of the business. But the thing about it is that you will always because first impression lasts. So if you basically have it down as the lower part of the business, you always have it as that no matter how the quality, no matter how the quality or improvement went. So what happened is that the higher section of the business now have to actually increase the reputation of the lower business. So instead of they have when the higher part of the business is actually leveling up and then increasing the quality of the lower section of the business, it have to do make external respect of the lower section of the business just to make sure that okay, the reputation of the lower subsidiaries is respected and stuff like that. So that's how it goes. Yeah. So that's basically it for this episode. Thanks for listening. There's not more. There's um thanks for listening. I look forward for the next episode. Mm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
On the 28th week, um, as we're doing this 9 to 5 journey, or what I see that in the 28th week, still the night shift, and there's not really much that was kind of eventful for this week due to the fact that actually I think I missed out on a few of the days. Yeah, I missed out on a few days due to one of the days I was actually trying to go to work. And what happened was I was going to be late. So I actually just told them in advance that okay, I'll be late. But then when I was at reach in the city, what happened was basically the rain started to fall. So because the rain started to fall, I was going to be extra late. So I'd be like, okay, makes sense that I just basically just wait until the rain done and then I will go there. But what happened